Blackwood Mystery. Please like and subscribe.
2013, 0:50 and 38 seconds. 911 emergency.
Yes, I'm in the middle of the field. It's like we're just pushing guys over. Right here going towards Javelin on both sides. My truck ran out of gas. There's one car here. You got to take it to the woods. Please hurry.
Okay, now run that by me.
We're not talking to him. I actually ran into him.
Ah, you ran into him. Okay.
That's the first guy.
You need an ambulance?
Yes, no, I need the cops.
Okay. Is anybody hurt? Hello? Hello? Hello?
On a warm Texas night, on 8th of August 2013, Brandon Lawson, a 26-year-old oil field worker and father of 4, was at home in San Angelo, Texas, with his partner Ledessa and their children. As with most families, it is not uncommon for young parents to argue, with life pressures such as money problems, work, and childcare to deal with. It is suggested that during the evening an argument gathered momentum. As a result of the dispute, Brandon decided to leave the family home for the night and stay at his father's house in Crawley, Texas. He presumably made that decision so that both of their emotions could calm down and they could talk the following day. The journey from Brandon's house to his father's house would have been over 3 hours, so it is fair to assume that the argument may have been more than a small disagreement. Brandon left his family home at about 11:55 on the 8th of August 2013, with the intention of staying at his father's house for the night. Presumably, his family members who lived closer to him were unable to let him stay over. There is some suggestion that Brandon did not take the quickest route to his father's house. He took the Highway 277 towards Abilene rather than the Highway 67, which supposedly would have got him there faster. But I do not think his choice of route is important, as the time difference between the two routes is minimal. Maybe Brandon just wanted to drive along the Highway 277 because he preferred it and did not care if it was the fastest route. Maybe he was distracted because his truck was low on gas. Ultimately, he did not have to get anywhere at a particular time. He might have relaxed and cruised along in order to calm down. 40 miles into his journey, Brandon called his brother Kyle. He told him that he was out of gas and stranded on the highway. Kyle, who was with his girlfriend Audrey, kindly agreed to help. He contacted Ledessa and asked if they could borrow the empty gas can she had left at her house, so that he could take it to Brandon and give it to him. Ledessa apparently left the gas can out on the front porch for them, so that Kyle and Audrey could collect it and take it to Brandon. Apparently Ledessa went to bed after leaving the gas can out, so she could not have been too concerned about the situation. But she was at home with young children to care for, so there is not much more that she could have done. At that time, all they knew was Brandon had run out of gas and was on the highway. Lots of people run out of gas. It is not too difficult to solve, especially with the help from a good brother. Kyle and Audrey made their way along Highway 277, trying to locate Brandon and his truck. As they made their way along the highway, Brandon called his brother on his mobile phone, but it was difficult for him to hear everything Brandon was saying. Apparently, Brandon said he was bleeding, hiding in the field, and that police were in the area. At about 1:18 a.m. on the 9th of August 2013, they found Brandon's truck on Highway 277. At about the same time, a police officer pulled in and joined them beside Brandon's truck. The cop explained that another driver had called police and reported Brandon's truck because it was parked dangerously, blocking part of a lane on the Highway 277. At that point, neither Carl, Audrey, or the police officer knew where Brandon was. Apparently, Carl thought that Brandon had hid in the bushes because of the police. Brandon was wanted by the police because of a warrant, which had been outstanding for several months. The warrant apparently related to possession of a controlled drug. Kyle supposedly thought that Brandon would simply wait for the cop to leave, because if Brandon came out and talked to the cop, his details would be checked on the police computer, and he would ultimately be arrested for the warrant. That would have been a reasonable assumption for Kyle to make. What other reason would there be to hide? However, unknown to Kyle, Audrey and the cop, Brandon had used his own mobile phone to call police before any of them had even got to his truck. Brandon had made an emergency 911 call at 00:54 a.m. on the 9th of August 2013. In that call, Brandon sounds as if he was panicking, out of breath and desperate for help. so desperate that he was not concerned about the outstanding warrant and his potential arrest. The 911 call is fast and difficult to hear in places. It was played at the start of the video. Here it is again. Listen carefully.
2013, 0:50 and 38 seconds.
911 emergency.
Yes, I'm in the middle of the field. The state, we're just pushing guys over. Right here going towards Javelin on both sides. My truck ran out of gas. There's one car here. Got to take it to the woods. Quick hurry.
Okay, now run that by me.
We're not talking to him. I actually ran into him.
Ah, you ran into him. Okay.
That's the first guy.
You need an ambulance?
Yes, no, I need the call.
Okay. Is anybody hurt? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Some have speculated that the 911 call we just heard is only part of the original 911 call, and that the authorities have edited it before they released it to the public. But it does not sound edited to me. The conversation, although confused, seems to flow naturally. Admittedly, the operator answering his call did not ask Brandon important questions such as his name, details of the other people at the scene, details of vehicles involved, and the exact location of the incident. Bear in mind, the operator answering the call was not a police officer. She is said to have been based at a nursing home where they assisted police answering 911 calls. When Kyle and Audrey understandably gave up searching for Brandon, they left the gas can at Brandon's truck so that he could use it when he returned. The police officer had also searched for Brandon along Highway 277, but did not find any sign of him. So at that point he thought he was dealing with a badly parked truck, parked by a driver who'd run out of gas. We only know now that something more serious had happened. Brandon went missing on the 9th of August 2013 and sadly has not been seen or heard from since. How did Brandon, who was young and in good physical health, go missing along a familiar highway in the middle of the night without leaving a trace? We will go through all of the theories which are worth considering, from the most common scenarios to the more complex speculation, although we will not include the supernatural or aliens, because if it were one of those, I believe we will never know. I will conclude with the theory which I think fits the facts best, but this is only my opinion. I'm interested to hear what you think as well. On the night Brandon went missing, his appearance was described as being a white-skinned male with short brown hair, 5'9" in height, weighing 230 pounds, blue eyes, one pierced ear, a number of tattoos on his arms, wearing a yellow shirt, camo shorts and white Nike Air Max trainers. Suicide theory. Maybe Brandon was really struggling with his life. He had an argument with his partner and left the house feeling emotional. His situation became worse when he ran out of gas on the highway. In a state of heightened emotion and frustration, he decided to end his own life. Suicide is sadly too common and a very possible explanation, but there are problems with this theory. If he was committing suicide, why did he call his brother a number of times? Why did he make the 911 call saying that there were people on the highway with him and that he needed the police? If he had committed suicide, we would have expected his possessions or body to have been found after all these years. Delusional theory. Perhaps Brandon consumed alcohol or drugs to a point where he was no longer in touch with reality. He left his truck and called police saying that there were other people there, when in reality he was running around in the desert night on his own. Brandon suffered a medical episode because of the alcohol or drugs and died in the desert alone. Clearly being delusional could lead to death. But the main problem in this scenario is that no body was found. Why would Brandon's body remain missing? If he had died in that way, some form of his remains would have been found after all these years. Furthermore, if a delusional state of mind had led to his death, surely an item of his property would have been recovered from the desert, such as his mobile phone, wallet, jewelry, or a trainer. He ran away with another woman theory. Maybe Brandon had met another woman who he wanted to be with. He decided to leave his common-law wife Ledessa and his children. He could not face the heartbreak of telling them, so he devised a plan to run off with the other woman and fake his own disappearance. The confused calls to his brother and 911 could have been all part of the plan. But Brandon's partner Ledessa obtained the call records for his mobile phone after the incident. There were no calls to a mystery lover in that record. If he were running away with another woman, you would think that he would have communicated with her leading up to their highway meeting. There is the possibility that he had another mobile phone, but after all this time, I feel like investigators would have identified that secret mobile phone. I feel that Brandon's social circle was small. The presence of an affair would have been noticed by someone close to him. If he left town forever with another woman, there must be a woman who also disappeared on the 9th of August 2013. Also, it was remarked that Brandon was a good, loving father who adored his children and Ledessa, so it is not likely he would leave them forever without any further contact. Landowners theory. Many landowners in areas like this are notoriously protective of their land. It is not uncommon for a landowner to pull a gun on someone trespassing. Perhaps Brandon wandered onto someone's private land whilst he was walking to the gas station. Then he was mistakenly shot by a landowner who thought he was trying to commit crime on their land. Once he was dead and found to be unarmed, the landowner decided to hide the body because they did not want to face the investigation by police. They were able to dispose of the body successfully, which explains why Brandon's body has never been found. However, this theory does not explain the 911 call made by Brandon about a guy chasing another. It also does not explain the calls made to his brother either. Buying drugs theory. Maybe after passing a recent drugs test for his new job, Brandon decided to get high. He arranged to buy drugs from someone along Highway 277 and used the excuse of the argument with Ledessa to get out of the house and meet the drug dealer. When he met the dealer, something went wrong. The deal turned into an argument and became violent. Brandon was killed by the dealer beside the highway. They successfully discarded the body and were able to get away undetected. Again, this does not explain the confused calls he made to 911 and his brother, and does not fit in well with the truck being out of gas. How could he have got to the meeting place with the dealer just before the gas ran out? Robbery gone wrong theory. As Brandon travelled along Highway 277, aiming to go to his father's house, he ran out of gas. Whilst walking to get more gas, he came across a group who tried to rob him. The robbery went wrong. Maybe because Brandon resisted and fought back, Brandon managed to run away and called 911, but the attackers were able to catch him before he finished the call. They kill him and dispose of his body without leaving a trace. But why would he describe someone being chased by another on the 911 call, and at what point would he have made the calls to his brother if this had happened? Ran into a violent incident theory. Maybe whilst travelling along Highway 277, Brandon ran out of gas. He made the calls to his brother and tried to contact Ledessa. He started to walk towards the gas station, but during that walk, he came across a violent incident where a man was being chased into the fields by others. Brandon's instinct was to help the man being chased. Unfortunately, Brandon did not recognize the seriousness of the incident and had no way of knowing that the attackers were trying to kill the other man. As the situation escalated, Brandon made the 911 call and reported the incident. But during the call, the attackers, who were better armed and more prepared for violence, killed him and the other man. They removed the bodies and evidence from the scene and successfully disposed of them. This theory fits the facts well, although investigators never identified any other suspects or vehicles involved in the incident. Also, Brandon never mentioned weapons or violence in the 911 call. Involved in crime theory. Could Brandon have been so worried about money that when offered an opportunity to make some quick cash, he agreed, but that opportunity involved crime, which came with a high reward and a high risk? He went to Highway 277 in order to complete the criminal task, but something went wrong and the situation became violent. Brandon ended up running for his life. He made the call to 911 pretending that he had just ran into some trouble in order to get the police there and save him, without revealing what had really been going on. But before the 911 call was complete, he was killed by those involved. They successfully disposed of his body and left the scene. Maybe that explanation would cover the 911 call, but it would not explain the calls to his brother and the fact that the gas ran out just as he got to the meeting point. Animal attack theory. Brandon made his way along the Highway 277 until he ran out of gas. He made the necessary calls to his brother and Ledessa so that they could help him. Whilst heading for the gas station, he was confronted by a wild animal which savaged him. This scenario seems so unlikely, but I do consider that in the US there are wild animals capable of killing humans. Furthermore, some people keep exotic pets. The rules in America are fairly relaxed, so it is possible for someone to keep a dangerous animal, such as a tiger, and it would not be the first time an exotic pet escaped its cage and caused the death of a person. Planned murder. Is it possible that someone wanted Brandon Lawson dead due to some sort of dispute in his life? They planned his murder and carried it out on the 9th of August 2013 when he was on the highway. As it was planned in advance, the killer had already made arrangements to dispose of the body and cover up the crime quickly. The killer may have been someone he knew, or that person paid for Brandon to be killed by another. But how would the killer know where Brandon would be on that night? Surely the drive into the highway was a spontaneous one, and no one knew he would be there at that time. The fact that he had run out of gas and ended up on foot made his movements even more random and unpredictable. Conclusion. When I looked at the theories, it occurred to me that the best explanation does not have to be one theory or another. The scenario that I see most possible is a combination, where Brandon was under the influence of drugs or drink that night. I do think an argument took place, quite possibly because he was high. He left the family home with the intention of going to his dad's during the journey on Highway 277. He ran out of gas. He called Ledessa and his brother Kyle for help. Brandon started to walk towards the gas station. He came across an incident where a male was being chased by others. Maybe because he was high, he bravely became involved. Both Brandon and the male were then chased, during which time he made the 911 call, but they were overpowered by the better armed attackers. They were both killed whilst Brandon was still on the 911 call, and their bodies were successfully removed from the scene and disposed of. I truly believe that Brandon died a hero, but never got the respect that he deserved. The reason I think this is because nothing Brandon said in his 911 call has ever been disproved, and his account, although difficult to hear, is still credible after years of investigation. In my opinion, Brandon died trying to help someone. If you have any information about the disappearance of Brandon Lawson, please contact the authorities. Blackwood Mystery. Please like and subscribe.